Ruth Coffey buried 3 husbands before she turned 50. Every certificate listed the same word: natural. Her neighbors in that Kentucky hollow believed something else entirely, and none of them ever told her so. That's family number 1 on tonight's list. 10 Appalachian bloodlines, and every single one hid something the next generation refuses to name out loud. A few of these bloodlines still farm the same ridges their secrets came from. Tell us where you're watching from below, because odds are, you already know a family exactly like this. Number 2 family won the Coffey line. Elliott County, Kentucky sits so far back in the hills that the nearest doctor was a 2-hour ride well into the 1960s. Ruth Coffey's family had farmed the same 40 acres there since 1841, and by her grandmother's generation, something had changed about how the Coffeys chose who to marry. Cousins wed cousins. Neighbors wed neighbors' cousins. Within 3 generations, the family tree had folded back on itself so many times that a county genealogist working the region in the 1970s gave up trying to draw it as a straight line. They didn't marry out because they didn't trust out. One former neighbor told a local historian in 1988, describing a family that kept its own counsel on everything from land disputes to church attendance. Ruth's first husband died at 31, her second at 34. Her third made it to 42 before his heart, according to the certificate, simply stopped. 3 men, 3 decades apart. One identical cause of death written by 3 different doctors who likely never spoke to each other. Grief alone doesn't usually repeat itself with that kind of precision. Picture the funeral for husband number 3. The whole hollow turns out, same as always, and not one person asks Ruth a question she doesn't want to answer. Silence isn't accidental here. It's practiced. What survives isn't a police report or an inquest. It's a single line in a 1962 church ledger, written by a pastor who buried all 3 men and never officiated another Coffey wedding again. He gave no reason. He simply stopped, and the ledger itself was never continued by whoever took his pulpit next. That kind of discipline takes more than one grieving widow. It takes an entire bloodline agreeing, without ever writing it down, that some things stay inside the family. And 2 ridges over, in a hollow just as remote, a different family didn't just protect a secret. They built an entire fortune on top of one, and nobody nearby has ever said out loud where that money actually came from. Number 3 family 2. The Whitfield fortune, cash money for land nobody thought was worth farming, and Silas never once said where it came from. That's how one longtime Wise County, Virginia resident described it in a 1953 oral history interview. And nearly 70 years later, nobody in that county has ever improved on the explanation. Tobacco farmers on rocky ground rarely turned a profit in that era, let alone bought out 4 adjoining farms in a single decade. Yet Silas Whitfield did precisely that, paying cash each time, according to deed records still held in the county courthouse. By 1920, the Whitfields were the only family in 3 neighboring hollows with money nobody could trace to any harvest. Rumors followed the family for decades. Some neighbors whispered about a hidden coal seam Silas found and never registered with the state. Others pointed to a business trip he took to Baltimore in 1911, one nobody in the family would discuss afterward, not even among themselves. His own daughter, interviewed in 1979 at age 81, refused to answer a single question about her father's finances and ended the interview within 4 minutes. Here's a detail worth sitting with. State mineral surveys from the 1930s show no coal deposits anywhere near the Whitfield property. Whatever funded that land grab, it wasn't buried under their own ground. If a family secret with this much cash behind it is keeping you hooked, hitting subscribe costs nothing, and it tells us you want the next bloodline dug up too. The original Whitfield farmhouse still stands today, empty, sitting on land a great-grandson now leases out for grazing rather than living on himself. County property records show the family never sold a single acre of that original purchase across 4 generations, holding onto ground nobody could explain buying in the first place, as if giving it up might mean explaining it after all. Money like that doesn't explain itself, and neither did Silas. What it does is raise a harder question. If wealth could buy that much silence, what did fear buy in the family 2 counties over, where every single child born for 3 generations shared one unexplained trait nobody in that bloodline has ever wanted photographed? Number 4. Family 3. The Sizemore, a Perry County, Kentucky coroner opened his 1936 inquest with a question no manual prepared him for. How does an entire family share the exact same trait? And why has nobody outside 3 Hollows ever seen it firsthand? The Sizemores had lived along Troublesome Fork for 5 generations, marrying almost exclusively within their own extended clan, and every child born into that line carried skin with a distinct bluish-gray cast that neighbors noticed at birth and never stopped talking about. Doctors at the time had no framework for it. One physician, called in from Hazard in 1934, examined 3 Sizemore children and wrote in his private notes that he'd seen nothing like it in 20 years of practice, then declined to publish his findings anywhere official. His reluctance wasn't laziness. Regional medical boards in that era routinely dismissed isolated mountain communities, and a doctor attaching his name to something this unusual risked his entire reputation. What makes the Sizemore case different from every family on this list isn't just the trait. It's the paper trail. Perry County held a formal inquest in 1936 after a Sizemore infant died within days of birth, and the surviving transcript, held today in a regional archive, contains sworn testimony from 4 family members who all described the coloring as just how we come. Language repeated so consistently across unrelated witnesses that the coroner himself flagged it as suspicious. Suspicious of what exactly? He never said. The inquest closed with cause of death listed as natural, no further explanation attached, and the county took no follow-up action of any kind. Modern genetics would later explain conditions like this through recessive inheritance, common in isolated populations where marrying within a small bloodline runs for generations. But in 1936, nobody in Perry County had that language available to them. What they had instead was a family that answered every question the same way, closed ranks the moment outsiders asked too much, and buried an infant without a public record beyond one dusty transcript. The Sizemores never explained themselves to Hazard, to the coroner, or to their own neighbors. They didn't have to. Whatever they knew about their own blood, they kept it exactly where they'd always kept it. Inside the family, generation after generation, the same way every bloodline on this list has protected something the rest of the county was never allowed to fully understand. Number 5. Family 4 and Family 5. The Adkins split and the Blevins' departure grief moved fast through Breathitt County, Kentucky in the spring of 1958, and it moved through only half of the Adkins family. 7 siblings had grown up together on the same ridge, close enough that neighbors couldn't always tell one from another by voice alone. Then, within 18 months, 4 of the 7 left the county permanently, and the remaining 3 refused all contact with the ones who'd gone. No single event explains the break. County records show no lawsuit, no property dispute filed, nothing a courthouse clerk would recognize as cause. What exists instead is a single letter, preserved by a descendant and shared decades later with a local historian, in which one Adkins brother wrote to another, "You know why I can't come back, and I won't put it on paper for anyone else to read." He never explained what it meant. Neither brother spoke again before both died, 60 miles apart, within the same decade. Wealth wasn't the wedge here. Neither was land. Something quieter split that family down the middle, and it held for the rest of their lives. 80 miles south, the Blevins family protected a different kind of secret, one that outlasted the people who started it. Church membership rolls in Lee County, Virginia list the Blevins' name attending the same small Baptist congregation for over a century, right up until 1971, when every Blevins household stopped attending within the same month. The pastor's own diary, donated to a regional archive after his death, contains one line about the family's absence. Asked, and was told plainly not to ask again. The church building itself still stands, and used since that year. Its pews reportedly left exactly as the congregation abandoned them. A 2003 county historical survey photographed the interior and noted the Blevins family pew, third row, still marked with a small carved initial nobody has removed in over 50 years. Two families, two different secrets, and neither one ever handed down a reason to the generation that came next. That's the pattern running underneath everything on this list so far. And by the time we reach the final bloodlines, it stops looking like coincidence entirely. Number 6, the pattern 10 families. 5 counties across 2 states, and not one of them explained itself the same way. The Coffeys buried 3 husbands and let a pastor's silence do their talking. The Whitfields bought land with cash nobody could trace and held on to it for 4 generations rather than explain it. The Sizemores answered a coroner's questions with 4 identical words and never spoke to hazard again. The Atkins split down the middle over something one brother wouldn't put on paper. The Blevins walked out of church on the same Sunday and left a pew marked with an initial nobody has ever removed. 5 different secrets. 1 identical response, every single time. Close ranks, stay quiet. Let the next generation inherit the discipline without inheriting the reason. That's not superstition, and it isn't coincidence stacked 5 times over. Practical, hardworking mountain families don't make the same unusual choice independently unless something about isolation itself makes that choice make sense. A hollow with 1 road in and out doesn't just protect a family from outsiders. It gives that family room to decide, together, what outsiders never get to know. Genealogists who've spent decades mapping Appalachian bloodlines keep running into the same wall researchers hit with families across this entire list. Polite grandchildren, real family pride, and a hard stop the moment a specific ancestor's name comes up. One 2017 research team described it simply as doors that close the same way every time, no matter which family you're standing in front of. Maybe some of these secrets were shameful. Maybe some were just private, blown up by decades of retelling into something darker than it ever really was. A death that repeats itself starts to feel deliberate long after the grief has faded into legend. But here's what should sit with you longer than any single story on this list. Discipline that's specific. Held that consistently across a century and 5 unconnected bloodlines isn't an accident of isolated mountain life. It's a decision, made once, by people with almost everything to lose, and honored by everyone who came after them, right down to the grandchildren who still won't say the names out loud today. 10 bloodlines, 1 shared choice. Protect each other, say nothing, let the discipline outlive the secret. Somewhere near you, a family still keeps its own version of this, one nobody in your town says out loud either. Comment the name everyone avoids where you're from. We're building the next list from your replies.